Hey guys, Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions. So, today we're going to talk about, boom, tough actin' Tinactin. Just kidding.
You want a medicine that acts tough. Boom, tough actin' Tinactin.
Today we're going to talk about the Sennheiser HD201, which, interestingly enough, I owned at one point back in 2015. Absolutely hated the headphone, but of course I was an immature, not even audiophile back then, and more of a bass head, so obviously I wasn't going to appreciate the sound signature. Fast forward 4 years later, and I absolutely love this headphone. In fact, this is probably the best quote-unquote cheap headphone that you can buy. I mean, aside from the Cost Porta Pro, and some others. But I mean, I think this is a great option for somebody just starting out that doesn't want to spend any money, like not even $100. This is probably just a step below that. But honestly, this headphone competes with a lot of headphones above its price range. So, I bought it again off eBay because I wanted to do a HD201 versus 206 comparison, but I don't have that headphone yet. So I just decided I would do a review. I really slammed this headphone hard back when I first reviewed it. It's not perfect. Obviously, it's $20, really cheap. Marco said he wanted some budget stuff. So how's this for budget, boy? Had to bring that one back. But yeah, hopefully Marcus will comment on this. He hasn't been commenting on my videos. I don't think he loves me anymore. But anyway, let's get into the sound of the HD201. I also updated my article, so I really want you guys to check that out. I went into some philosophical type weird stuff. Yeah, the HD201, great sound signature. Start with the bass, it's really rolled off, but pretty articulate. It's very lean. It's like a K240's bass, I would say. Probably almost identical to that bass. But still, I mean, it gets the job done. This is not a headphone that you're going to want to try to drive really loud or really push, because it's not going to sound... It sounds better at quieter volumes, I would say. But the bass, quite a bit of roll-off. It's not going to be... This is not a bass head headphone. This is not the type of headphone you're going to want to buy if you want some impact. This is more of a mid-range oriented can. So let's talk about the mid-range while we're at it. Mid-range is very, very good. A lot of presence, a lot of vocal presence. Maybe a bit too much at times, I think. Just a little bit too forward, because of the rolled off bass and the darker sounding treble. It's got that crisp sense of detail and spacing that works really well. It's just a little bit ragged around the edges. You can kind of tell after listening for a few hours that this is indeed a very cheap headphone. It's what a drugstore headphone should have always been. You remember those drugstore headphones. I think the best out of that crop from back in the day was probably the Sony MDR V150. But aside from that, drugstore headphones are just that. They're cheap, they're bad, they're plasticky, they don't sound very good, they're very heavy on the bass. This headphone is what one of those headphones should have been, and what people should have experienced when they were first getting into music and sound. Funny side note, I had no idea that good headphones existed back then. I just thought that those run-of-the-mill CVS, not even CVS, I mean back then it was like Car Drug. If you guys are old enough to remember Car Drug. Very, very cheap, crap sounding. But back then we were satisfied with that, man. And that's something that I really want to rant about, is like the fact that people nowadays, like, we're just like never satisfied with anything. Back then I could jam out to some DMX, a crappy pair of headphones, a Discman for like hours and days, months on end without complaining. Like, I was completely happy with it. But now it's like, oh, we gotta buy this amp DAC and pair it with this headphone, and it's just so stupid. But anyways, I'm on a rant, and I didn't mean to go on one. I wasn't planning on that. The HD201, darker treble. I read somewhere that this is like a brighter treble. I don't really see that. I'll flash a measurement up on screen of this one. It's definitely not bright. It's not going to be sibilant. It's crisp and pretty detailed, but it's not overbearing, which is nice. And one of the good qualities about this headphone is the treble, as well as the mid-range. So good headphone for mixing, mastering, and reference, I would say. I enjoy these for rock, indie pop, some hip hop. I mean, they'll do pretty well. I wouldn't rely on these for like bass heavier genres. This is more of a critical listening type of headphone, something that you would wear if you're like tracking or checking a mix. Perfect budget entry level set. Quite frankly, these shouldn't sound as good as they do for 20 bucks. I think they're going for a little bit more now, but when I bought them 4 years ago, they were around $20. You really can't ask for more. Build, of course, is very plasticky, faux leathery. It's your typical cheap feeling headphone. Probably a little bit lighter than a K240, which is saying a lot. That headphone is extremely lightweight. Pretty good clamp force. There's padding on the top, but of course it's faux leather. This type of material is prone to breaking down and peeling over time. You can just tell by like looking at it and touching it. It's just a really cheap padding, but it gets the job done pretty well. They will get a tad uncomfortable after a while. You'll have to make some slight adjustments, but as I wrote in the article, what you're basically going to want to do is just wiggle the headphones. So if it's on your head like this, it's getting a little bit uncomfortable. It'll start to dig into your ear, like right in here, the inner part of your ear, after a while. So what I do is I basically just go, and that fixes the problem for, another good 30-45 minutes. Comfort is maybe a little bit above average. Isolation is pretty good to me. I mean, I read other people were saying it's not very good, but they don't know what they're talking about.
You don't have any idea what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Isolation is decent. I mean, it's not fantastic like a 280 or something, but it's pretty good. Yeah, headband adjustments, all plastic, but the cups rotate a little bit like this. Just good enough to get a good fit on your dome. The cable is not detachable from what I can see. Like the wire it feels like a cheap $20 drugstore wire, which is interesting because the Sennheiser HC600's wire is just about as cheap as this one. Jack terminates in a 3.5 millimeter. They don't move this well. They move a little bit this way. They don't rotate. They don't fold up. This is a headphone that you can take it around. It stows away pretty easily in your pack. Doesn't come with a carrying pouch, I don't believe. I don't really know. I'd have to look that up. On the top, Sennheiser logo is on there, like with most of their headphones. On the side, we got right and left indicators, and it says HC201 in small letters. You're not going to need an amp with this headphone, but I think an amplifier does bring out the best in the HC201. It sounds more crisp out of an Element or an HA2. Just more sparkle, more liveliness. It's a little bit more engaging. Out of my phone has a crappy DAC, so I can't really use that as a basis for a judgment. Get something cheap, affordable, like an E10K to start out. Yeah, about 108 decibels per milliwatt for sensitivity. Pretty low impedance. I can't remember the exact number. Maybe 24 ohm. Final grade for the HC201, I think I gave it a B+, borderline A-. I mean, it's a really, really good headphone for what it is, what it provides. It will successfully bridge that gap for you until you invest in about $100 headphone. It has good definition. It's a little bit fuzzy and bloomy sounding at times. You'll notice this after a while. But other than that, really, really great headphone. Yeah, that's about it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my growing channel. Let me know what I can do to improve. Let me know what I do well. And with that,
Check 1 2. I hope you enjoyed this review too. It was brought to you by Stu, who, me, the lyrical G. Empirical dreams slide through like dream. PC gaming, letting off steam. Got bars for days like a prison inmate. A misdemeanor's fate, no debate. When I wake up, okay, start my day with a cup and I pray I don't faint. I'm a saint of the Most High God. Of the Most High God.